people to just send in the questions so we can give them some stuff for our podcast, yo.
What?
Exactly.
What?
What?
What? Sorry, I can't hear you. I can't hear you over all these emails we're getting at
artstitutespodcast@gmail.com.
Oh my god, are you talking about we can send in questions for ourselves at
artstitutespodcast@
gmail.com?
That's right, Daniel. We can get emails from
Artstitutes Podcast.
at gmail.com. Can you believe that, Gio?
No, I can't believe that at all, but I'm not good at acting, so this is my point of view right now.
Ha 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 ha. Ja. You were good. That was funny.
Yeah, it was.
Literally send us in anything you want to say. We'll read it. We'll answer your questions. Send them to
artstitutaspodcast@gmail.com.
You'll usually get a mixed response that'll probably be really good or really bad.
And if it's really horrible, we're not going to read it. Just going to say that out there right now.
It's like, but if it has something to do with... Never mind.
If you want to start a conversation, we'll do it.
We love you.
Yeah, so with that introduction, Mr. Host.
You almost pulled off a Daniel.
First off, we start out from left to right, so...
Hi, I'm Daniel. Hey.
Left or right, that doesn't play well for audio. Hi, I'm Harold.
I'm Chris.
And I'm your host this evening. I'm Gio. Apparently.
I'm gay.
Alright, guys. Welcome to the second Podstitutes podcast. And I'll be your host this evening. I already said it, but I'm going to say it again because I need to stroke my ego. And how much... Yes. Thank you for stroking my ego.
If you're going to
so
introduce
much.
yourself twice, say your name twice, Gio.
Okay, I got to do it. G-G-I-I-O-O. Gio! Alright, guys. How's the week been going for you guys so far?
It's been jamming. It's been interesting. We watched Grave of the Fireflies, which was a sad time.
I cried a lot.
I don't know what to do because like Harold was crying and you were like kind of like having an existential crisis, and I'm just here like I've already seen this movie, but it still hurt a lot, kind of thing. But,
I don't know. I sat there. I really did sit there. I started contemplating, and I was just wondering, why am I not crying? And then I started contemplating about that, and then I was like, why am I not crying? And it stuck with me until I went to bed, and I slept on it, and I couldn't figure it out till the next day.
Damn.
I didn't want to go through that again, so I didn't watch it with you guys.
Chris literally walked in and he was like, what movie is this?
And I'm like, you can't tell? And he's like, I don't know. He was like, no. And I was like, a bunch of people die. And he's like, oh. And he walked off.
I think I like wiped my memory of watching that movie.
But it's good, though.
It's good, but I wanted to like...
be happy.
If you like Grave of the Fireflies, you should watch Plague Dogs.
Stop.
I haven't seen that one at all.
You should watch it.
Is it as...
It's not as bad.
Okay.
But
it's dogs.
It's dogs.
Is dogs? No.
It's Plague Dogs.
Not the dogs.
Jesus Christ.
All right. Have you guys played any new games anytime recently you guys want to bring up?
No.
None?
I did see Rings, which is a pretty good movie. I would suggest watching it in theaters because it's better that way, but overall, not too bad. It's pretty okay. And also, random fact of the day, Patriots won the Super Bowl. Screw them. Just saying.
Wow. Ooh. Spoilers for the Super Bowl.
It doesn't matter to me.
It's coming after.
Football.
It's all over the Reddit, guys. Put that in the description as spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead for Super Bowl 51.
Just give it its own separate audio clip where it's just like, news. Super Bowl spoiled on this local podcast.
Dude, that'd be great.
Getting hunted down for it. All right, guys, let's get down to the podcast. And this is what the topic today is.
Damn, you didn't even ask me about my week.
You were part of it. Why didn't you say anything?
I thought you were going to list off everyone's name.
Hey, Harold. How was your week?
Played a lot of Binding of Isaac, so it wasn't very different.
I played a bunch of Overwatch ranked games. I wanted to kill myself.
Hey, sounds like League.
Yeah, a lot of people say the same thing.
Is it that bad?
Oh.
After the placement games, which were fucking easy money, I started playing with people that were actually good.
Let me tell you, it's literally like digging yourself out of a really bad hole, and then yeah, it's basically what Daniel's doing right now. It involves a lot of friction, no lubrication, just straight
Ass.
ass to skin friction.
40 pounds of ass.
40 pounds of ass. All right. You guys want to get into the topic though?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Today's topic is sequels. Should we keep pumping them out or finishing these stories in one game? Our thoughts on remakes versus the continuation of a story. And what I'm trying to say by that is mostly, do you guys prefer if we get like a non-continuation of a game? You know how often we get like very nostalgic about one game, and like we finish it, but we're often left with wanting more. But it's better off that they left it that way, because we end up getting games that when they make a second one, you kind of wish they didn't make a second one, because then it kind of takes away from a lot of the feeling that you had from the first one. So I just wanted to know what your guys' thoughts on that, on generally for now, and then I'll start going deeper into it with more further questions.
Huh. Okay, so just sequels and generals? Generals.
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 Captain.
Senor.
Private.
Was that
Saving Private sequel.
Save it, Private Senor.
I think there is. I think sequels are necessary for certain like situations. I'll go more into detail later, but sequels are important, but could also completely ruin a franchise, as you said before. But I happen to have a significantly larger list of games I would say are better sequels than bad sequels. Like bad sequels is probably like a small like 10 game list that I would say are like bad versus like, hey, that was pretty good. But that's my
pretty
opinion on
good.
it.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to bad, first thing that comes to mind, Mighty Number 9 was a pretty bad sequel to Mega Man. Just saying.
I didn't even bother thinking. I love Mega Man too, and I saw where it was going, and I was
Nice.
saying, no.
Nice.
Professional.
That's 2 for 2. Someone's phone goes off.
Here on the channel,
Hey,
channel
that was-
or podcast,
hey, that
whichever
was
you.
not
I just
my
had to
fault, per
silence
se.
my phone. Just to be sure.
How dare you be that person?
Hey, I thought it was off. Okay. I thought I was in
Alright.
silence.
I
Anyways.
think sequels should usually, there needs to be a good reason for it. For example, the story pretty much asks for a sequel, or like at least you're not
Daniel's
eating in the
just
mic.
crunch.
Like, or they just, the older games starting to get dated, or that sort of stuff.
Huh. I just figured sequels are just a thing that happens, because why not?
Because people need
Because
money.
Because, like,
money.
fucking Banjo-Kazooie had Banjo-Tooie come out like 2 years later, and it's just the same game, but with more.
Wow.
That sometimes works.
But that's like every sequel. It's the same game, but with more.
Sometimes.
Like, I guess nowadays we have such a view on it because a lot of games fall under the whole sequelitis thing, where a lot of AAA companies won't take on a project unless it can promise sequels after it comes out. That's why you get things like Call of Duty that have like more than 7 sequels or whatever.
Yeah, because it never ends, right? You can always come up with something differently. And that's a weird thing. Would you guys prefer it to continue more like? Do you think it's better for a game to go into a singular game, allowing limitations to create for more creativity instead of just pushing out multiple sequels? You know how sequels sometimes you can also be like, we want to because these are businesses also. They need to fluff up. They need to also make money out of their brand, whatever it is. So do you guys think that by limiting it to 1 or 2 games, we can expect more creativity out of it, or a more fuller complete story? What do you guys think about?
That's different. That's a different topic, because
Okay.
when you're thinking about sequels in the sense of just like companies need to make money,
Yeah.
that's because like the AAA industry is just growing way too big. And because when you think about it, it takes a lot of money to make a AAA game, with how graphics intense they're being and all that, right? And all the professionals that they hire. So a sequel makes a lot of sense. You can just reuse a lot of assets or just slightly tweak some things to like just get more juice out of a series. But when you think smaller, when it's like indie and it's just like a few dudes,
Yeah.
you could just totally make different games. Or even like, what's the guys that did
Which one? What are you?
black and white silhouette game?
Limbo.
Limbo.
Oh, okay.
They made that new one.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
I think
coming
I know
out with a
what you're
new
talking
game,
about.
right? It's like a horror game, right?
Yeah.
You have to like, thriller thing. You
But
run people,
before the
right?
new one, they made it was like a spiritual successor to it. Wasn't necessarily a sequel. Then what's your stance on that?
A spiritual successor, and then I can't remember what the game you're actually talking about. I know which Limbo.
It's Limbo, and then the whatever that sequel. I don't know what it's called.
Was it like a kid actually trying to?
It's a kid, and
who's
then
escaping. From,
he's escaping from something. To not give spoilers out. And
Yeah.
it's just
That one I never got to play it, and I really wanted to play it, but I never actually had any full on experiencing. That one, I don't know. I would consider that one more of a,
because what it does what Limbo does, but way better, and it expands
Yeah.
on it. But would that be considered a sequel in the sense that you're saying, where?
I guess I would not say that, because it's not in the same way it does not continue off of Limbo, because when a sequel, it's a remake of no, it's a continuation of the story through the same kind of like protagonist usually.
Mhm.
Sometimes we often end up in games where they go from different perspectives in different games, like
Assassin's Creed.
yeah.
Assassin's Creed for sure. Oh.
But I would consider that one possibly a separate type of game. The thing is, though, it's similar in mechanics, right?
Yeah.
But the story is different entirely. They're not in the same realms. It's kind of like when you think of D&D and multiverses. It's like in different universes, where the way I see it, and it's not really like. Do I consider it a remake? See, that's a really hard one. that I have not actually contemplated between those two, because when you keep something mechanically the same, it almost feels like it should just be a remake, right? Anyways, what are you guys thinking?
Well, what do you mean by remake? Because I think we're
A remake?
I think terms are getting a little mixed up here.
Mixed up here?
Sequels or remakes?
Yeah, sequels, remakes, and reboots. I mean, those are three.
Okay.
different
Oh,
things.
I mean,
They're completely
I
different.
keep saying
Yeah, because see, like a
I keep
remake.
saying remake, and I'm trying to say what I'm trying to say is I'm assuming a
A
reboot
reboot?
is what
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
So like the 90s hit cartoon Reboot.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
Powerpuff Girls.
that's probably what I'm trying to head towards, not towards remake. I'm sorry, I apologize for that.
Take a clip of
Fusion
you
of
saying
a-
reboot and just put it over every time you say remake.
Yeah, just
Reboot. Just put a
take
picture
the
of a
alien
boot.
guy. Just take the alien guy. Reboot.
Just put the Reboot logo over every time he says remake.
Boot. Boop.
Yeah, and it's funny because I know that you brought up, you didn't mean to bring up remakes, but remakes are, in my opinion, just basic, just cash cows. Like, hey, this game was good. Let's make it look nice again. And this is like Elder Scrolls Skyrim remastered. Remastered is just a nice word to say a remake. Like, oh, it's back again, but it looks nicer. Da da da. And that is just cash cowing. I mean, they don't fix the game. They don't do anything. They just make it look nice, and that's it. Like,
Resident Evil 4
4.
Remake 2.
3, 4, 5. How many times has that game been remade? Remastered. Let's think about it. Started off with the PS2, GameCube, and then it got released on the Wii, and now it's gotten released on the PS4. It's gonna be on whatever the next console system, because it's just that one of those kinds of games. Anyways, that was a complete tangent. Going back to reboots and sequels, I think reboots are like a mixed bag. I feel like they can be either really, really good, or they're gonna be really, really bad, or kind of like mediocre, like right in the middle. And I don't have examples for really, really bad, because I haven't played a lot. I have played one. JK. I played Sonic 06. That is one of the worst reboots ever for a franchise. I mean, you had three of the most fantastic platformers ever: Sonic 1, 2, and 3. And then you had fairly decent, I wouldn't say good, because I replayed them, they're not so great, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and then started to go a little bit downhill, right? So they're trying to reset the franchise for a new generation / for the old people like us who still want to enjoy that kind of franchise, right? But if they make a game like Sonic 06, then you kill off whoever you have left from your kind of bad games like Sonic Heroes or Shadow the Hedgehog, and then
What are you talking about? Those games are good.
that's a good story. Anyways,
Those are amazing games.
and it doesn't really attract anyone to the a franchise, right? So that's kind of I think the point of a reboot is an attempt to bring people to a franchise that has either long been dead or has not been so hot for the past couple of days. And a good one, I know you brought it up before, is Tomb Raider. It just recently got remade, or it just recently got rebooted in 2011.
Yeah, sometime around
13?
there.
Don't fact check.
Yeah, don't fact check. Don't. I'm bad with this.
Trust us.
Regardless, the game was super fun, and it has the same idea, and you're definitely playing Lara Croft, but they're completely different games. I mean, one of them is very tank controls, very focused on platforming. The newest one's more focused on action, more focused on exploring, looking around, and I think that's kind of what a reboot.
Reboot.
I'm having a hard time talking today.
The Reboot.
Rub it.
I feel like that's what a reboot should do, is make it completely change something.
Yes,
mechanically or
like
graphically, or
Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts. Just change everything.
I know. see, that's the problem. Also,
that was actually the other thing I was going to bring up when it comes to new games coming out.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about when they switch them mechanically differently, like Danganronpa, when it went from a detective game to a completely first-person weird shooter?
Right.
Like no one was asking for it, but we still got it.
What, you mean Despair Girls?
Well, the point. I know that their point was to practice it, right?
Yeah.
It was more.
No,
of a
but that's
term
the thing is, it depends on who you're talking to, right?
Yeah,
From the
okay.
outside, it's just what's this weird spin-off game?
Yeah.
But if you actually just spend all your time following the companies you play their games, you find out that Danganronpa Despair Girls is just them trying out 3D for the first time, and it's for them to get the jank out of the way before they work on the third game.
I know, but how much was the game? How much was the
It was
game?
full price.
Full price?
Yeah. It's a good 30
I
hours long.
I don't know. I just don't think it's entirely fair to put a practice run on people for that much of a price, especially when it comes. I know that it's strictly for especially for practicing, but I don't know. I wouldn't spend a full price
But that's
amount for the
going back to the Wii U. The first few games Nintendo put out for the Wii U was literally them practicing HD because they didn't have people that could work in HD.
Oh. Did it work out for that?
I mean,
The games look great.
I mean, yeah, okay, fair enough. But overall, were the people satisfied with the type of games, even though, because graphics is one thing, and then you get mechanically.
I'm sure the 5 people that had Wii U's enjoyed those games.
us.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and I think an important point to bring up for a reboot and a sequel, right? Is a sequel is meant for people who have been playing the games from before, right? You're not gonna just jump into Despair Girls unless you've played Danganronpa 1 and 2, right?
Yep.
Versus a reboot, which is kind of hey, you've played this franchise before, come check it out, or hey, this is a entirely new game, come check it out, kind of thing, right? So there's 2 different ways that you can look at it.
It's for that you could think of the Crash Bandicoot remakes that are going to come out soon, where it's this franchise nobody's heard about since forever. An 8-year-old right now is what the fuck?
What the
is
fuck
a
is
Crash?
And I'm over here oh my god,
Bandicoot!
bandicoots, and the polar bears and the crystals. Oh man, I really love that game. Just had a side tangent. I needed to really.
But
state that.
I guess that could bring up another question: is what time is it appropriate to reboot a game?
I think it's when I said when the game starts to get kind of dated. Do you know Penumbra?
Actually, I think
The
I've
game
heard of Penumbra. Yeah,
It's
That's familiar.
how do I put it? It's the guys that made Amnesia. It was the game before that.
Okay.
And they're really identical, but the old game, it got really dated. The graphics are really the enemy AI is really jank. And when Amnesia came out, it was a pretty impressive game with dynamic lighting, the whole Lovecraftian idea of like trying to keep your sanity up while all this crazy stuff is going on. Penumbra, it was just like this kind of half-baked stealth game. Like, yeah, when a game starts to like feel dated, feels like there could be more to it, I feel like that's when you should go for a reboot.
I think most reboots are kind of either one trying to capture the nostalgia of people who are obviously in our age group, or trying to pull in new younger generation, and that's usually where I see it kind of pointed at. Because other than those ones, besides making actually like trying to get some funds back for any kind of losses or, you know, gains, or marketing especially, because that by, you know, advertising to younger audience, you get much more you get more consumers kind of going into the same console. It's like, okay, so you produce this reboot, and because you own it, it's kind of like a cult following, you know. You're like, oh, you made my favorite game, now I'm gonna follow you because you did this for me, thank you. And that's just kind of how I see it as. It's kind of just you're continuing to follow something you already like, and then whoever's providing it to you, you're gonna go towards them more.
Right.
Interesting. I don't have anything.
Yeah, nothing. Okay.
You guys said it. You said it well. Yes.
Yes, thank
I
you.
actually agree with Chris.
Just to let you guys know, that's not a very common
It's
thing.
not very common.
When common grounds are met. Okay. Well, then the other thing I wanted to bring up was the question for sequels. You know, being gamers and experience with a large variety of views, that games that we've all played in different kind of, you know, perspective. PC gamers, you know, Sony, Nintendo's. I was trying to see like when, and it is kind of related to what you brought up, was when the newcomers, like, what's the good time to bring up in a game? Well, how do we feel from our perspective for the newcomers who are actually seeing these new up and coming games, and they're just like, what is that? Do you think that they should continue creating reboots just for us, or they should be focusing more on just one specific younger group of marketing? Is mostly what I'm thinking of. Such as like you know, Zelda being one of those things where it's been there for a long time, and you know, it's continuing to it lasts through everybody else's. Like for us, or people who have played it, not me. For everybody who is very familiar with it, will pretty much get carried away with it. Even people that don't know about Zelda end up knowing Zelda, and like they just wave a flag. Like it's like the badge of honor. You need to like Zelda, otherwise in the nerd community you're just not a nerd. It's just one of those things. So it's kind of off tangent. I'm not really putting a good example of what I'm trying to tell you guys, but
I think I know what you're talking about, and
Maybe.
I think mostly games should be marketed to everyone unless it's made for like a specific like set of people, and then that's kind of the point of the ESRB rating kind of thing, right? So like you're not gonna advertise The Last of Us to like 10-year-olds like, oh hey,
little Jimmy down the street.
It's a zombie game, but you know it's a little bit violent because they're not gonna understand. I mean, yeah, they'll get a kick out of it, right? It's a shooter game, you know, you get to shoot stuff, you get to kill zombies, but like there are like there are intertwined narratives for those kinds of games, and I feel like it's more on the company than like to advertise who they want to advertise to. So for games like Mario, for Legend of Zelda, especially Nintendo kind of stuff, because they advertise to everyone, and that's because they don't really make dark games, I guess you could say. They don't make like really, you know, thought-provoking, very like heavy kind of games, and you know that's totally fine. That's what they do, and they do it really well. I mean, clearly, if you look at like the Wii sales from back when Wii, Xbox 360, and PS3 era, the Wii sold significantly higher than everyone else.
That's
And,
because
like,
everyone and their grandma was buying it.
well, there you go, and that's because that's the point. It was advertised to everyone, not necessarily the Xbox 360 or the PS3 though. The PS3, you know, PS3 was pushed as like it's a system for people who want to play games but also want to enjoy others, like other entertainment, like let's watch some stuff, blah 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 blah, right? So that's pushed in a certain way, and the games that are released on there are mixed. And that's like, you get stuff like Little Big Planet, who's advertised to everyone, right? Like, that's like, oh, he's a cute little sack boy for the kids, but, you know, a really complex, really fun level creator for the adults kind of stuff. And that's great. I mean, that works. And then you have the other stuff, like Gears of War. You get stuff like Uncharted. You get stuff like games that are not necessarily meant for kids. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean that's just kind of like a
Yeah.
situation thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I feel like sometimes those kind of games shouldn't go too far, anyways. Like, there's a certain point where you kind of need to stop. Otherwise, you're just ruining more of a specific brand. You just kind of start like, specifically Gears of War. God damn it, I love that game, but the more sequels that come out, the more it's getting killed to me.
If you're gonna make a sequel, just make it dumber. Just make it bigger and dumber, and that's foolproof.
Stop making games where it's about the main character's children. You guys like Mortal Kombat? Here's Mortal Kombat X. You get to play as everyone's children. You like Gears of War? You get to play as Phoenix's dad. Or Marcus's dad, whatever.
Anyway, I think speaking about like those kind of perspectives, especially with kids and like or little whoever's perspective is it, do you guys think it's a good story idea to when one game comes out you start from a protagonist, but then in the next game for some reason you're in some other like person's perspective, but it may not be related to or not related. Like, do you guys think that's a good way of telling a story?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Ace
so
Attorney.
tell me why. I just want to hear it.
Ace Attorney did it amazingly, where you're playing as Phoenix Wright for the first 3 games, and then the 4th one you play as this new guy, Apollo.
Yep. And
It's
then
just amazing.
the 5th game you play as Miles Edgeworth, who's Phoenix Wright's like rival. I wouldn't say antagonist, but rival, and it just works. I mean, like, because it just expands the story, it expands characters, it expands other things. I mean, biggest examples I would say. Fuck, I just forgot. Crap. Give me a sec. Go, Chris. I need to read.
I like it when it focuses on multiple characters within the same universe because it builds a universe. It widens your view of it.
Okay, and you want them to all directly connect to you in the way that you understand.
It doesn't have to be directly connected.
It doesn't have to. Okay, so
Maybe
they can just be
some echoes
separated
of
or
yeah, kind of separated, but maybe like show some of the echoes of past characters' actions in the new characters thing or
yeah, I
whatever.
love that shit. Too.
I guess that comes down to if your world is strong enough, you can make any kind of game, and you can make any number of games.
True.
I guess that means strong ass design, good stability, more room for actual like
Room for expansion.
yeah, definitely, and that's
Ding, ding, ding. I just remembered. Biggest one that I could say. BioShock. The BioShock franchise. You play as 3 different characters in 3 different games, and all of them, BioShock 2 is good. Okay? Unpopular opinion of the year. BioShock 2 is good. Regardless, you play as a different character, but you still know you're in BioShock. Like, you know you're playing a BioShock game, and it just works. Like, the characters are interesting. BioShock 2 expands on BioShock 1, like, really well, and BioShock Infinite doesn't really, but that's because it's not really, it's like, that's a spiritual successor, if that makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's under the same franchise, but it's not like BioShock 3. It's BioShock Infinite because it's in a different place.
Have you guys actually played the BioShock series?
No.
You
Played BioShock Infinite.
You've played. That's probably my least favorite one. I'm sorry, I have to say that 3 is not my favorite one.
Even less than the second
Well,
one?
The second one, no, I actually like the second one, but I still have to say because the biggest impact of the first one had the bigger impression on me, I would have to say that one would have to be my favorite one.
Absolutely.
And like, God, the game was, it really put me in, especially when it came to the setting, the world. I was so immersed into that game. I sank so many hours. I played it like twice to see if I can do both sides of the stories, and like when it comes to the little sisters. Which, either way, though, back onto the final thing I wanted to ask you guys. Fun little topic. Which games do you guys wish had a sequel, if there was one already made one? And if you don't have one that there's a specific game you want, what kind of game would you like to come out?
Half-Life 2.
Swear to God.
Oh yeah, that just reminded me of like the thing I said with like a different character's actions like affecting another character. Like Half-Life kind of does that, except the character that's affecting the world is you. So the thing is like your actions in Half-Life 1 like make you a hero in the future.
Yeah.
But because you're like transported from the past into the future, you get to like see all the things you did.
Oh yeah, actually I do remember that a little bit.
They like worship you like some sort of messiah.
Yeah, it was really weird. I didn't get anything though when I first played it though, because I was younger and I was like, I just want to shoot things. Pew pew
I'm a
pew.
fetus.
I just like shooting things. Pew pew pew. Like
Also-
the orange box. Did you ever get the? You know what that one was? It's like
Yeah.
the physical copy.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
It also brought up like a past point of like why you need a sequel. Half-Life 1 is so dated. It's
Oh,
yeah.
dude, yeah, it's
look at those
ugly.
polygons. And then you got this really polished game at the time. Daniel doesn't like Half-Life 2. Like it was
I'll probably
really
pick it up next year.
It's- like just look at the difference between them. It's like that is grade A.
See, I'll agree
sequel.
with you on that. Yeah, there is
My
a
God.
good difference, but
Wow, there's a lot of agreeing going on.
you
It's
know.
the first time in a long time.
What is even this podcast?
Are we opening
The friendship
we're,
one.
dude, we're opening a gate to hell
Friendship
right now
cast.
because me and Chris are actually agreeing on this. Hallelujah.
Where's my cross?
But if I actually have a sequel and I completely forgot what it was and I'm pissed because like it was in my head and I was like, oh my god, that'd be a great sequel.
Remember you say it
Oh.
all the time.
Mr. Filibuster.
Yeah, I know people wouldn't agree with me, but I think Oxenfree 2 not playing as the same characters though, because you can have access to, right? I mean, people have access to whatever the thing is. I'm not gonna say it because it's kind of important to the story. Just play the game; it's beautiful. But I mean, I'd love to see that world expanded. I mean, you don't even have to like actually bring up like the the triangle thing and the radio stuff, but. I don't know. I'd love to see a sequel for that kind of game. I think it'd be interesting. I think it'd be cool.
I don't think that game can
Needs
get
one?
a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't.
It's closed. It's such a closed
And
game.
that's what's so hard.
Like, I
Yeah.
get you could say you want a spiritual successor for the studio to make a similar type of game
That would be nice.
that would expand on the mechanics they set out, but that would be an example of a game that just can't, in my opinion, get a sequel.
Yeah, I can't really.
I need to first-handly experience it first before I even make any sort of claims that should do this.
It's okay. It's coming in the mail.
Tune into next week when Geo is just rock hard for Oxenfree like the rest of us.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's praying to God that it comes in next week.
Oh, what? Wait, what do you mean? It's like I thought it was supposed to come in more recently. What happened?
Limited run games takes like a year to send in new
God
stuff. So I
damn.
mean, like, no offense, but they do take a long time. But I just thought of another one. A sequel to Pokemon XD, or just any like a reboot of the 3D like cool shit. I mean, it's probably not gonna happen because we already have 3D Pokemon with Sun and Moon and stuff like that. But like that would be so cool. Bringing back Shadow Pokemon, bringing back that stuff. Hallelujah, that'd be down.
Biggest sequel I want, Kirby's Air Ride.
Oh, yeah,
true.
That game needs a sequel. It's a shame that there's only one of them.
And I'm just the best at it.
God.
Excuse me.
Don't you remember when I beat you?
What?
Oh.
Excuse me?
I saw the video.
Tune into the channel when we actually see that.
I
happen.
do.
We're gonna have to re-record this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is someone a little salty?
I'm just against putting up an episode that's 6 months old.
He's just sick of putting up an episode where he loses.
Oh. Oof.
Okay, I have a real answer. I want a sequel to Brutal Legend.
Ooh,
Oh my God.
that'd be
A
interesting.
fucking world that's inspired by rock music. Hell yeah, I want more of that.
Dude, you might want a sequel for Ride to Hell Retribution.
Oh.
Yay!
We truly are the ride to hell.
Oh, I think I would go with I want a second one, something similar to Shadow of Colossus, something that's more like puzzly versus while you're also trying to fight a boss. It was one of my, it was at least one of my favorite ones, especially because it left also another mark on me. I know a lot of you guys have a very silently about it, but I really, really liked the game a lot, and I really wanted a second one of it.
What?
Unpopular opinion number 3, Daniel doesn't like Shadow of the Colossus.
That's okay.
I've
He's
never
entitled.
played it.
I've heard mixed stuff about it.
This podcast has been me just silent because I never played anything that I'm talking about.
Oof. Don't worry, you'll get to play Splatoon 2.
Oh yeah, and then you guys will be quiet.
Splatoon!
When you start and just like, all right, well, I don't know anything about this game. I don't play Nintendos anymore. So I think that'll conclude the end of the podcast, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We hope to see you for the next podcast.
Hey, check out the other one.
Check out the other one.
What was that
Yeah,
voice?
check out the first one.
Wait.